Saturday morning, and yes, you're right, the Cultaholic Wrestling Podcast curse has indeed struck again, as it was during the night. Would this have been just after SmackDown?
Yes,
Sam?
around the time SmackDown was ending, I think.
Yeah, so once again, we come to you today with a list of multiple stars released from WWE. This is becoming a worrying trend. I think this might be the third, maybe the fourth time we've sat here and talked about WWE getting rid of a lot of talent in one fell swoop. One news story in this, and it is the details on all of those stars that were let go from WWE last night. There's a very NXT flavour to this particular round.
Yeah, it's just a shame. NXT obviously supposed to be the future of the company, and NXT as an entity has always felt very happy and very, it just stood in stark contrast to the main roster, where things were always a little bit more drab and worrisome. When you used to get the news, it was always kind of NXT was doing fine, and it was the main roster that was kind of experiencing more issues. But now it looks like NXT is not even safe from the restructuring that's going on right now in WWE.
There's some names in here that are shocks. They're shock names. We'll start at the top with Bobby Fish.
I can't believe this. Like, genuinely, Bobby Fish is one of my favourite wrestlers. Just straight up one of my favourite wrestlers. I don't know how they... I mean... He was in the era. Like, he's amazing in the ring. I don't understand.
And pretty much straight into the Undisputed Era. He signed properly in 2017 and was affiliated very quickly with Kyle O'Reilly. And by the end of that night on TakeOver, I think they were affiliated with Adam Cole.
Yeah.
If it was there or thereabouts. And then when the Undisputed Era went their separate ways, Bobby Fish got injured before that, so he was off TV for a while. And when it all happened, we had this lovely moment with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish where they kind of said, I've got stuff to do, I've got some things to sort out, I'll see you down the road.
It was when I was first getting back into indie wrestling, getting into it like properly for the first time. I remember seeing Red Dragon and just loving everything about them. And I remember when we used to work at the old place, on one of our shows, we booked Bobby Fish and he turned up, and we booked Kyle O'Reilly, and it was just amazing to get to see them wrestle in person. And that felt special, and it just sucks that not going to see them in NXT anymore.
Bronson Reed. Signed with the company in 2019. He was part of the Breakout tournament literally a few months ago. He was the NXT North American champion. And
it felt like the company had such a future planned for him.
He was backstage at Raw.
Featured so much over socials as well. And
he was on Main Event. He did a match on Main Event. The same night that Karrion Kross made his sort of main roster debut via Main Event. Bronson Reed was there as well. And kind of felt like a big beefy boy that the company would want to get behind. No longer with us in the company either. Jake Atlas, another name, signed in 2019. A lot of primarily featured in the Cruiserweight division, but lesser forgotten. He was featured on Stephanie McMahon's episode of Undercover Boss.
Yes.
In 2018. Yeah. I believe that at the back of that, when she did the whole reveal of, it was me all along, Austin.
She pulls off just a slightly different coloured wig and a pair of glasses.
She paid for a down payment on Jake Atlas's house, I think, off the back of that one, if memory serves on that one. What sucks is, I think it's the 5-year pro anniversary of Jake Atlas was the day that he got let go.
Yeah.
So that stings, but he's going to be a star somewhere. I'm a big fan of what Jake Atlas does. Leon Ruff, 2020, he was signed.
A star throughout the pandemic era, just starting to get back out there in front of audiences, and now... I don't... There's so many names on this list that it's just elite level talent. I don't...
One of those names, like Leon Ruff, that was very much part of the pandemic era of wrestling. Like, he featured on Raw, he featured on NXT, he was briefly North American champion himself as well.
Which was massive news because it was so out of left field, and it really set the internet on fire.
It really, really did. Mercedes Martinez is the next one.
Massively shocking.
She's been around WWE for more than her contract. She signed proper in 2020, but she was in the Mae Young Classic in 2017, and this one might be one that we're going to keep an eye on, because Mercedes Martinez is recovering from a concussion following that kick to the head from Xia Li. So she's currently off screen and she's been let go. And there's been a few people mentioning, is that really ethical?
It's not really the right thing to do there if somebody's injured after appearing on your product, you should really be looking out for that.
Between WWE runs, she was of course part of AEW. She was on the second ever All Out. She was the Joker in the Women's Casino Battle Royale. So maybe there'll be a forbidden door creak open for Mercedes Martinez.
I think the forbidden door is going to open, like, just slam its way open wide for a lot of these names, because how could you not want these people?
How could you not want them? Like someone like a Mercedes Martinez would be a great get for your roster.
Mercedes, like every name so far, it's.
There's a few names here who haven't been part of the company for a little while and have been sort of on the periphery and who we weren't quite sure where they were going to go with them. Someone like a Giantzanjia, who was hired to be part of NXT's expansion into India. He was in the main event of Superstar Spectacle.
Yeah, and it was a
Shanky.
big deal again. Like they seem to set up everybody for these like amazing positions, and now the rug's just been pulled. But it makes no sense.
If you're
trying to expand into these markets and you're hiring talent to do that, and then you just start, you get them to headline a show and then cut them. Like, are you just not pursuing the expansion now?
I think the one thing that we've learned from these releases is to expect the unexpected. With all of it, which is has been sort of WWE's mantra for quite a while, and it's sort of worryingly so now. Ari Sterling, he's already put out a tweet saying Alex Zane greater than Ari Sterling, and I agree. Alex Zane is a star, and as Ari Sterling has done little to nothing in NXT, and that's not on him.
Was that the tweet where he was awkwardly watching himself make his entrance?
Yeah. that's again. These things are happening as stories are in progress, as the company is moving. Like some people, like Giantzanjia, who hasn't been around for a while, or since the Superstar Spectacle, who haven't been on TV for, who haven't had a program. Then you've got Ari Sterling, who was on 205 Live last night.
Yep. After being fired.
It's the second time that's happened on 205 Live. Eesh. Kona Reeves has gone from the company now. Now, Kona Reeves has been with the company since 2014.
Yeah, Kona Reeves is somebody who people kind of either love or hate. He's like the Marmite of NXT. You either kind of get behind him and you buy into it, or you're just like, I'll
be honest with you, I didn't really feel like I got enough chance to taste him, because they never really got the motor running on Kona Reeves.
When I started covering NXT, he got injured, and then he was out for so long that by the time he came back, I think I was almost finished grading NXT in total. Like, that series ended. And it just felt like, I've never really had an experience to kind of see a prolonged run with him, to see him do anything like noteworthy. But the fact that he's been with the company for so long shows they clearly saw something in him.
Asher Hale is another one. He signed with the WWE when WWE bought all the IP of Evolve, and that was only back in January he was signed. And they've just kind of gone, there's nothing really here for you, off to the races you go.
Yeah.
Tyler Rust is another one that came over from that Evolve deal. He was in a faction.
Yeah.
Like, that debuted about 2 weeks ago.
And
this is the second member of the Diamond Mine that's been let go.
But I don't understand, like, how psychotic is the booking if this whole situation rather than the booking. If the booking's dictating one thing and then it's like, just cut them. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, what do you do now? Like, where do you go from there? You're kind of, by doing this, you are shafting the other members that are left in that stable. Like, what do you do with it? Are they going to continue with it? Like, imagine they did this with Retribution. They just fired, like, 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's Retribution, big evil, there's 2 of them. Like, they're going to come out and smash everything up, and it's just 2 people really making heavy work.
One lad with the lead pipe hitting the canvas.
Yeah.
Desmond Troy, you'll know as Desmond Dejournette, maybe. Again, like Leon Ruff, was one of those guys during the pandemic era that was playing sort of the local enhancement talent role quite a bit on television. Got a lot of exposure through that. I think the renaming kind of gave us a little bit of hope that maybe they might get behind Desmond Dejournette, but that's apparently not going to be the case in this case. From the Performance Center, Zachariah Smith. Now, he was one of these guys that didn't have a lot of wrestling acumen when he came in, but he's 7 foot, and you can't teach that. And he's got a basketball history, so he's got that other sport mentality.
Yeah.
And he was kind of picked by a few people to be sort of one of WWE's sort of great giants in training. And when Omos gets too long in the tooth for this thing, you can maybe have a Zachariah Smith, but not to be now. But again, we can't really say much about what we saw of Zachariah Smith. We didn't see anything of it.
Yeah. This is the thing. When you start getting to the point where you're cutting people who are either not even out of the PC, or they're on like the NXT house show loop stuff, where you're not even really seeing them on TV, or you've never seen them on TV before, like for the company.
I agree. One more name to add to this, which is referee from NXT, Stefan Smith. Now, you may not know this, but Stefan Smith had a really fun career in OVW. So I hope this leads to him going back into wrestling.
Yeah.
And taking the stripes off and getting back in the ring. I like Stefan Smith.
Yeah, the thing here that's really concerning is when you look down all of these names, the talents might not be across the board like a similar young age, but at the same time, these talents are still the future of the industry. Like, they still have a hell of a lot to give. They still have a long time in their careers left if they wish to continue in the world of wrestling. But we spoke about this yesterday. Like, what do you do when it comes to WWE needing new faces, new big stars? You can't just keep bringing back Goldberg and Brock and, you know, eventually probably Taker, and then you're going to get to a point where what you got left? Snitsky, and you're going to start pulling in like all the ruthless aggression, like, oh god, it's B squared, and like, what are you going to do with all of this stuff?
Even John Cena has said you shouldn't rely on older talent that much.
But you can't be gutting the younger talent, especially names the caliber of Bobby Fish, Bronson Reed, Jake Atlas, and Mercedes Martinez. Some of the biggest, hottest prospects on the market right now, because you've released them, they're going to go elsewhere and they're going to make just amazing wrestling with other people.
What depth to the indie scene now, though?
It is,
What
I guess,
depth?
one kind of twisted positive of this is that, yeah, the independent scene has some more names returning to it.
Because when WWE went through this phase of just hoovering up wrestlers,
I mean, look at the UK.
yeah, the UK scene,
Like, it was like, okay, we've got these
hiding.
wrestlers, and boom, they can't appear on XYZ shows. They're only allowed to work this. They can't work anything that's they can't do this. They can't do that.
But
like,
what it meant is that the wrestlers that were left got a chance to step up and push through. Like in the UK scene, when people like Kaylee Ray and Viper went off the radar, that's fine, because then we got your little Miss Roxy's and your Gia Adamses and your Tongas to come forward.
Is needed, and that's always historically happened, but never on this scale.
No, exactly.
It's like decimation. It's not, because you'd have one or two people get called up every year, maybe every couple of years. You'd have you'd lose the Wade Barrett and you'd lose the Sheamus, but you've got stars building up, and it was always kind of slow enough that you could build up, and then when they came in and started really aggressively pursuing independent talent, it was just like we're taking them.
But now, they're being put back in the water. But
now they are being released, which means, released back into that pool. So, fingers crossed we are going to see some absolutely unbelievable wrestling, but it's just a shame that it's had to come at the expense of people's livelihoods.
I can't help but feel that there is something fun to be said about talent being released back into the pool, into the lake, into the river, and the top name is Bobby Fish.
But if they... Oh, God.
We've got to laugh. You got to laugh, otherwise you cry.
But, yeah, I just... It's...
You got to laugh, otherwise you cry. Will we get more about this?
Are they going to try and spin this as budget cuts? Like,
Of course they are! Of course they are! Of course they are. Yeah, when we know more about it, you'll know more about it via our channel and via cultaholic.com. More news later today. Stay safe and love you, bye.